First speaker this evening is John Knab. Comes to us from the town of Sheldon. He's been the supervisor in the town of Sheldon for 12 years. He's been through the entire process of wind, way ahead of where we are at the present time, and he's here to give us a little insight on his feelings on wind farms. The farm there became operational in March 2009 and consists of 75 turbines. John Knab.
Thank you. I guess I'll start right out from the beginning. We were approached in July of 2001 about putting up a test tower for wind project. We didn't have any laws in place. There was nothing in our zoning or comprehensive plan to cover wind farms. The town board and planning board got busy, and we adopted a law for test towers. September of 2001, we had the test tower up and in operation. So then I thought, if they want to, there's apparently wind enough that we should be working on a windmill law. So we did a separate law, nothing to do with our zoning. It was adopted in January of 2003. We'd been approached in the interim with 3 different developers. The first one was Ecogen. They were a local firm out of the western New York area. Their interest was mostly building test towers, getting readings on it and determining if there was wind enough, and then they was going to sell it the information. Second one that approached us was New York Wind Power. They were connected with a firm in Spain. They had 2 people working, trying to convince the landowners to sign contracts, and there was some personality problems. They just didn't seem to hit off good with a lot of our landowners. And then Invenergy came along in late 2002, and they're a Chicago-based firm, U.S. owned. The owners, him and his wife came from Russia in 1975. As immigrants, they didn't have a whole lot. He started working as an engineer for a company in Texas building natural gas turbines, and within 5 years he owned the company, and then he went into the wind development. They built a number of wind farms in the far west and southern states, and then they moved up into the New York area. There was 2 other farms in our county. I'm in Wyoming County. It's a small rural county. Right now there's 42,600 people. We have about 60,000 dairy cows, so the people are way outnumbered. But they started talking to landowners, and they signed up all the landowners they figured they needed, even a few more than what. And they come to the town with they wanted to erect 86 turbines at first. Our town board meetings then went from 2-3 people to 150 to 200 people. Not only our own local people, we had people from neighboring towns and other counties that came, and anti-windmill people that was opposed to the project or didn't want to see anything, develop, I guess. And, we started working on a seeker, hired Stantec Corporation out of Rochester. Mike Flanagan and Barb Wagner was there to represent. They'd been involved in wind projects in Canada. Their home office is in Guelph, Ontario, and they've had projects in Canada that they'd done the engineering on in the seeker. So we started working on that, and 2007, I guess it was, we finally passed or did the special use permits for the windmills. There was 75 turbines. There was then 13 clusters. There was 13 clusters of windmills. They had to have a special use permit for each one. and they all was passed at our town board meeting. Uh, then started working on a host agreement with them. I had one town board member that was strictly opposed to turbines. He wanted to, accuse me many times of not including him in the negotiations on the wind project, but I felt that, he was going to ask for such an outrageous figures that they would walk all away from us. And I had meetings with our planning board, our town board, and we got a figure that we felt that we had to have for the 75 turbines. And I approached them, and no, it was way too much money. So it went along about 6 months, and one night we were about ready to eat supper, and the phone rang, or my cell phone did, and it was a wind company, and they said, we've got to get a host agreement in place so we can go for our pilot. And Wyoming County, the 16 town supervisors, well, we make up the county board, we decided that the host community was going to get 80% of the money, and the other 20% would be in a pilot divided between the school, the county, and the town. Our 75 turbines is in 2 different school districts. The Attica High School District has 68 turbines, and the other one, Pioneers, the southern part of the county, has 8 turbines in their district. And the school superintendent from Attica called me and approached me and said that, I'd like to meet with you because I think we got to have some input in this host agreement. So we set up a date, and I went down, met with the superintendent, and he said, I think it should be, the host agreement should be based on the tax rates. He said, your town tax rate's $5 and something a thousand, the county's $6.60, $6.70, and the school district's is $18 a thousand. He said, so we should get, the majority of the money. And I thought, hey, we're doing all the work. I don't feel you should get any more than, what's you're going to get out of the pilot. We kind of went back and forth a little bit. Finally, I made a remark to him. I said, the more money you get, the more money you're going to piss away, so why should you get it? And he, as much as asked me to leave, and which I did. A couple weeks later, he called back and said, I think we ought to talk again. And his reasoning was then, he said, I guess I'll go with whatever the pilot we get out of the pilot. He said, I understand where you're coming from. You've done all the work, and you should get the majority of the host agreement. So then, well, as I said, I got a phone call one evening, and I was on the cell phone for 252 minutes, and we hammered out a host agreement. Our planning board and the town board, we figured we had to have at least $700,000 coming to the town the first year, and then it would escalate anywhere from 2 to 3.5% every year thereafter. I started in at $850,000, and we finally ended up, the first year we got $752,962.80. And so I went back to the board with that, and they thought we should go with it. So signed a host agreement with that, and the IDA had already had their public hearings and on the other 20% of it. So